Off the goose, yeah, thinking that I'm too pop, getting caught with a few thoughts, cause I'm too lost. Off the speakers can't even handle me, giving what I got, nobody's gonna drain my energy. And I will never stop, I'm motivated by enemies, setting up shop so everybody remember.
The later Middle Ages and the Renaissance in Rome and the Papal court. More about the Italian Renaissance cuisine. Rome was seat of one of the wealthiest, most luxurious of all courts, that of the Pope. The tendency we mentioned of honoring the Lord at the table was embraced with joy by the Papal entourage. Greed didn't seem so much of a sin anymore to the eye of the rich and powerful of the eternal city. 16th and 17th sources speak of luscious banquets with hundreds of different dishes served. Musical, dances, and singing will come and entertaining during such feasts. The luxury and, let's face it, excess of Rome were common to other cities of the peninsula. The Serenissima, Venice, and Ferrara of the Este family, Milan, and the Sforzas all fought to achieve the highest level of luxury and grandeur when it came to entertaining and well fit the rich and powerful of Europe, sometimes getting pretty ingenious and creative while doing it. In 1513, for instance, Pope Leo X of the Medici family organized a banquet to celebrate his nephew Giuliano's nomination to the Roman partisan. The table, set for 20 selected guests, was placed on a stage in the middle of Campidoglio Square. The stage was surrounded by rows of seats for people to come and watch the show. More of it in 1595, when Cardinal Grimani offered a banquet to presentants of the city of Venice in Palazzo Venezia. Guests were welcomed by the outlandish sounds of fifes and drums, which also accompanied the coming to the dining room of each dish and side. Trumpets introduced preserves and jams, while gold and silver plates covered in cookies and pies made this appearance on the delicate notes of harps. The meal continued with a milk soup and dozens of roasted roes served on enormous trays. The majestic sounds of tubas followed an overwhelming display of 74 large plates of chicken in Catalan sauce, whereas it was the mellow, refined harmonies of violas to create the chosen backdrop to roasted peasants, dessert concoction of whipped cream and marzipan, accompanied by performances by an exotic belly dancer, followed by a children's choir. No mention of how long guests spent at the dinner table is made in official documents. The later Middle Ages and the Renaissance in the city of the North. Florence and Rome, of course, but we had been mistaken to think that the towns and cities of northern regions of Italy didn't love their culinary excess in the late Middle Ages and during the Renaissance. What more to learn about Italian Renaissance cuisine? Cristoforo de Messibugo, for instance, bore witness to the gastronomic adventures of the Esten's court in Ferrara. In a text called Banchetti Composizione di Vivande et Aperitifino Generale, this roughly translates as banquets, the composition of dishes and general view of banquet setting. Messibugo, in fact, a valuable witness, as he was a well-learned humanist and of a certain chef in the Este's house. Thanks to his works, the court of Ferrara gained notoriety all over Europe as an artistic center supported by magnanimity of the estate's patronage. Fulfilling their role of protectors and supporters of the arts, the estate's banquets. One recall the estate married the daughter of King of France in 1529. The climax of the celebration was nothing less than a presentation of Ludovico Artiso's Cassare. In case you forgot, good old Ludovico is one of Italy's most iconic and suspended poets, known in particular for the epic poem L'Orlando Furioso. But Messibuga's importance doesn't only lie in having kept detailed track to the estate banquets, but also of what was happening in their kitchen. As a chef, he described the typical northern Italian use of butter as opposed to the oil-based recipes of Tuscany and South. If we speak of sugar, spices, and Renaissance cuisine, we must speak of Venice. La Serenissima had been holding the monopoly of sugar import and production since the age of Versailles. The same could be said of oriental spices, of which Venice was an importer for the whole Europe. Naturally, Venetian cuisine was of the period was to be influenced by cities' contrast with the East and its commercial role. A curiosity, so much was the name of Venice associated with sugar that its use became a symbol of the city's wealth. Renaissance chefs loved sugar, so it isn't surprising to discover that candied fruit, which is basically sliced or chopped fruit, or fruit peel cooked in sugar syrup, became very popular in the Renaissance and became pretty much a staple for all the trendy desserts for the time. Panettone and panforte, both rich in candied fruit and today symbols of traditional Italian baking, are children of the Renaissance just as Leonardo Mosel is. The 16th century, we can really say, was a time of culinary excesses in large parts of Italy, and the exception might be for Florence and the Medici, who flavored a relatively sober despite the wealth. However, it is easy to see how such a desire to impress and display large quantities of food came from a more or less unconsciousness need to exorcise the fear, always present and always real, of families, epidemics, war, and tragedies, which would have had hunger as their first result. New flavors from the New World. The discovery of America in 1492 marked an essential historical and cultural moment for Europe. Even so, it didn't happen straight away. It was also to influence profoundly the way we cooked and our tastes. New ingredients ended up on the table of the rich and powerful of Italy with relative ease. However, it was to take a much longer time for all people to enjoy the novelties and the delicacies of the New World. One of the world's things to appear on Italian noble tables was turkey. Apparently, the bird became so popular that even the estates had a turkey breeding farm. They were also considered a particular welcome wedding gift. Sweet corns as well as American beans cultures were used when soil needed the rest, in between others, and helped to ameliorate its fertility. They both required little to grow and could be produced in large quantities, greatly helping to reduce the fear and incidents of famine in Europe. Interestingly enough, however, their diffusion halted after the first years of popularity. Europeans were reluctant to fully embrace the new products, and only in the 17th century both sweet corn and beans finally entered at full speed the kitchens of Italy and Europe. The same happened with another famous import from the Americas, the potato. Studied as a curiosity for years by botanists, it was adopted straight away in Spain and Italy, but it would became a staple of European cuisine only in the 17th century. A different story is that of ubiquitous tomatoes. Imported quickly from South America, some say it was quickly adopted by Spaniards and indeed the Italians. It is pretty safe to assume this is true for our Spanish cousins. To the point, one of the earliest Italian recipes, including tomatoes, dating from 1692, is for a sauce called pomodoro alla spagnola. That is Spanish style tomatoes, which seems to point to an already well established presence of the fruit on Spanish tables at that stage. In the 17th century, it was believed to be an aphrodisiac, so it was often used in love potions. Otherwise, for decades, tomato plants were used only as a decoration. In Italy, so the story says, it entered in the kitchen of the poor first and that of the rest of the country only after Queen Margherita gave the thumbs up to a dish named after him, a dish that made our cuisine even more famous around the world: pizza. The Italian Renaissance cuisine and the history of Italian cuisine in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance and its important amazing dishes still have secrets to be discovered.